What gives you confidence to say that at these levels, the stock can actually perform?
Yeah, so certainly, I mean, we've seen the company and heard them come out multiple times over the last, several months and year, just talking about how they could have moved quicker over the last couple of years and that they did make mistakes along the way. I'd certainly say that what we've seen now in terms of a pretty big buildup around safety and security, going from 10,000 people to 20,000, certainly spending a lot of money around that investment. OPEX this year up 50%, 40% next year. So I think they are taking much more serious steps than a year or two ago. From a business perspective, I think we're seeing signs of users, certainly in 3Q, a little better stabilization in the user base than we saw in the second quarter. Revenue growth that's still in the mid-30s right now. We do think it will decelerate, but we think that deceleration can be managed. And certainly Instagram growing extremely fast and can be certainly a very big asset going forward.
We're showing the stock down another 3% today. It's been obviously a tough market, but Facebook looking bad even in that context. What's the market waiting for? What is it afraid of right now? Is it just about margin pressure? Is it just seeing if users go away, or do they feel like they need to see some other kind of more radical change in how the company behaves or who leads it?
So I think the market's looking for a few different things. First of all, clearly there's just the PR, the perception and headlines obviously remain fairly negative, and we do need to see kind of over the next several months that starts to lift more. So I think that's number one. I think two is seeing more stabilization in that user base around core Facebook and just confidence that the revenue growth and the deceleration can be manageable. And then I think really third, that you have kind of new revenue sources, and I mentioned Instagram, which of course is growing very fast, but that there's other ways they can generate revenue and really monetize and get value out of this user base that's 2.6 billion people across all of their assets.
Doug, I would think one of the larger overall threats to Facebook is simply regulatory scrutiny or changes in regulation that impinge their business. Do you think the New York Times story yesterday makes such an outcome more likely?
So in terms of regulation, I don't know that I would specifically say that I feel like that story makes regulation more likely. There certainly is a possibility, of course, of something tighter around privacy and data, and we've certainly seen that to a degree in Europe, and there is a possibility of having perhaps a similar version or a lighter version, let's say, of that in the United States. But I would certainly say that a lot of these companies have now changed their business practices to kind of move to a GDPR type of model on a global basis. And so far, actually, what we've seen over the last few months, and it is still kind of early, we actually don't think the businesses are being really impacted very much from kind of an advertising perspective because of some of those changes.
So what are we going to be looking for, Doug? I mean, obviously it's over 2 months till the company's going to report results again. It's not as if you can necessarily real-time track holiday consumer trends and have it bear on Facebook. What are we watching to determine whether in fact the market's coming to terms with this, or the stock got cheap enough, or the fundamentals remain intact?
Yeah, so in terms of what we're looking for, I think the key thing here through the fourth quarter is from a business perspective. Signs that you're continuing to see innovation in terms of product, that they're getting more success on core Facebook with things like Facebook Stories, Facebook Watch, and really that the advertiser base is continuing to show up here in a strong way. Certainly the fourth quarter, while it's a big, obviously, holiday and e-commerce quarter, Facebook plays a pretty important role in that. So we want to see that all of these brands and certainly the very long tail of advertisers that they have are participating the same way, and that you still have good growth in the business.